Hello, today we're going to learn about how to take cuttings, which is an excellent way to get lots and lots of free plants for yourself or your neighbours or your friends. The first thing you need when you're going to take some cuttings is a plant to take cuttings from. And today we've got this lovely, healthy, and it smells absolutely delicious, this rosemary bush here that we're going to be taking cuttings from. So you need the plant, and you need the plant to be looking nice and healthy, and you need it to be the kind of plant that you want. So your cuttings are creating new plants that are an exact copy of the existing plant. So if you don't like the existing plant, you're not going to like the cuttings. So yes, this rosemary bush is perfect. It doesn't need to be this big, but it is big and happy and healthy. So we're going to take cuttings. You are looking for basically this year's new growth. So there's woody stuff, which is old, and then we're fairly late on in the season, but basically from here, that is all growth that's happened this year, and it's that stuff that we want to take your cuttings. The second thing to note is that you want bits of rosemary bush that haven't got flowers on, and it applies to all plants that you might be taking cuttings from. Basically, the bits with flowers on root less easily, so much better to take bits without flowers. Got a pair of nice, clean and sharp secateurs here, and I'm just going to take a whole load of bits of rosemary. How many should we do? Let's take 7 for good luck. So I'm not being too particular, just nice, healthy growth. And then we're going to go and prepare these cuttings. So we've now got our cutting material, and we are going to prepare them to take cuttings. What you need is somewhere to work. We're in our little polytunnel here. We've got our cuttings. Now, if you'd stolen these, taken them with permission from a friend's house, and you're not going to do this bit straight away, then stick them in a plastic bag straight away, and then stick that in the fridge. And actually, they could be like that for a day or two, but we haven't done that because we're preparing our cuttings straight away. So you need your cuttings material. You need a pot of some sort. And actually, I'm going to show you a nifty way of taking cuttings with 2 pots. So I've got a big pot and a little pot. We need some composty stuff to put in the pot. I've just got some peat-free potting compost here. I've done various experiments, and I don't find that like the different types of, seed compost or potting compost or multi-purpose compost doesn't make a massive difference. So use what you've got, peat-free, of course. And I've also got some rooting powder here. So some organically certified rooting powder. Again, in my experience, I found that using this or not using this makes absolutely zero difference of how well things root. But like a pot like this will last you a lifetime, so I continue to use it most of the times. So yeah, that's what you need. We're now going to prepare our cuttings. So to prepare your cutting, well, first of all, I need to explain a little bit about nodes to you. I'm going to start taking these leaves off. On all plants, rosemary and other plants, there are little lines across the stem where the leaves come out, and those are called nodes. And they're magic little places that one can grow leaves, but also can grow other things. So the joy of taking a cutting is that we are going to bury some of those nodes in some compost, and then the plant is going to decide, rather than growing leaves from those nodes, it's going to start growing roots instead. And that is how we get a new plant from this cutting. I've taken off almost all the leaves, and actually you take off plenty of leaves in order for the cutting to lose less moisture, because if it had loads of leafy growth at the top, it would lose lots of moisture and not survive. So we take off almost all the leaves, and then after that we can see what we've got, and then I'm going to prepare the cutting by cutting just below one of those nodes. So not through the node, just below it, and that is going to be where the roots start coming out. And ideally on your cutting you'll have lots of nodes, because you want to bury quite a few of them. I'll probably bury 3 or 4 for this cutting, and then you have a nice bushy well-established root system if you have lots of nodes underground. So yeah, I'm going to prepare the rest of my cuttings. So I've prepared my cuttings, and just as a little side note, you could obviously make some beautiful roast potatoes or roast lamb or something with these rosemary leaves, but not many people know this. If you take some rosemary leaves and shove them in some boiling water, it makes a beautiful rosemary tea. Really very delicious and unexpected. Got our cuttings. I'm now going to get our pot ready. So I'm going to put some compost in the big pot, and I'm kind of squishing it to the side, and then I'm going to put, I'll try and get that in the middle, try and put my little pot inside. So you don't have to do it this way. You could just fill up your pot with compost, but I will tell you why sticking a little pot in the middle is my favorite way to do it in a second. So we have our pot all ready to go for compost, and now it's time to insert our cuttings. We've got them cut just below a node. We're then going to dip those in the rooting powder. You only need like a tiny bit, and as I said before, it maybe does nothing anyway, but it is traditional to use it. So some cuttings will be like stiff enough to just be able to push them into the soil. If they're not, you can use a pencil or a stick or something like that, and you're basically just burying those in. I'm going to make that hole a little bit deeper. These are actually quite long cuttings, and then sort of squish it in. I'm going to just position these around the outside of the pot. So I want to explain why I'm such a fan of this pot in the middle technique. One, it uses less compost because there's a big hole in the middle. Two, it's really easy to water. Once your cuttings are established, you can just pour water into the middle. And three, most importantly, for an impatient person like me, it's really nice to be able to lift this pot out and check to see whether you've got a good root system forming or not. So once you've got your cuttings like this, the key thing is to give it a good water. First water will be around the outside, and then the main aim for the next 6 to 8 weeks when these roots are going to be forming is we don't want these guys to dry out. They don't have any roots. They have no ability to suck up water and replenish water that they've lost. So we're going to trap it in by making a really nice humid environment where evapotranspiration will be kept to a minimum. So this little greenhouse, plastic bag greenhouse, is going to go on my windowsill. Not my most sunny windowsill, maybe a west-facing windowsill. And then for the next 6 or 8 weeks, I'm going to check them regularly, lift off the plastic bag, pull out any dead or dying ones that look unhappy or diseased or whatever, maybe turn the plastic bag inside out to release some of the condensation. And yeah, hopefully in 6 weeks' time, I'll start to see roots forming and I can then pot them on. So I just wanted to show you some cuttings that I took a couple of weeks ago. No, not a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. So these, basically the potting on process is once they've got roots on them, you dig them out and put them into individual pots. And you can see these are a bit overwatered because they're a bit mossy on top. But, you know, very healthy looking cuttings. And just to say that at this stage, if you want a kind of tall rosemary plant, then this is fine. But if you want a nice bushy rosemary plant, it's quite important to be brutal with your pruning back. I'm actually going to cut above that node. And then this is going to produce lots more branchy bits and be a lovely rosemary bush rather than the kind of weird rosemary tree. So yeah, that is how you make lots and lots of free plants.